All the letters there usually just do this. Looks like this. LCM. Please don't get least common multiple confused with greatest common factor. That is probably the single biggest mistake most people do. And what the least common multiple is in math world is the smallest number, letter, whatever, that two or more numbers will go into. Okay, it was like finding common denominators. Here's my example. Let's do like easy stuff from 5th grade. Find the LCM of 8 and 10. Back in the day, let me do this first and then I'll answer. The smallest number that two or more numbers will go into. Because you could do this with a bunch of numbers. Back in the day when you were in 5th grade, you used to do this. Oh, okay, well, multiples of 8 are, and multiples of 10 are, multiples are 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48. Multiples of 10 are 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay. Find the smallest common multiple they have. Well, the smallest number that most of them have in their list here is 40. You could never find the greatest common multiple. Why? Because it goes on forever. Multiples go on for absolutely ever. So you can't find the greatest common multiple. You can find the least common multiple. Think of it like this. It's the same thing you do when you're adding fractions together. If you were adding 1/8 plus 1/10 together, what would you make your bottom number so that you could do that? That is the least common multiple. Now, unfortunately, it gets a little more complicated when you start adding letters in with that. Here's example number 2. For example, if you have, I'll find it here, don't worry. 10a squared c to the 4th and 15a cubed c cubed. Okay. Some of you right now can tell me the answer to that. Most of you probably not. And because of that, we're going to break it down into a way that you can always use to find the least common multiple. Here are the steps that you can do to find this pretty easily. Step number 1, just like finding greatest common factor, factor out both of them, or prime factorize them. Okay. If I prime factorize 10a squared c to the 4th, what's it look like? It is 2 times 5 times a times a times c times c times c times c. Are you with me on that? 2 times 5 gives me 10. A times a gives me a squared. C times c times c gives me c to the 4th. Prime factorizing 15a cubed c cubed is 3 times 5 a c c c. Stop me there if you didn't catch that. The old whoa, slow down there. That don't make no sense. Okay. Step number 2 is you take the group that has the most of each factor. Don't worry, it's a lot easier than it sounds on paper there. In other words, you look at, compare both groups, starting with this one. Which group has the most 2's? This one. How many is it? 1. this. Which group has the most 3's? This one, how many is it? 1. Which group has the most 5's? They both have just 1, so you take just 1, because that's the most each group has. Which group has the most A's? This has 2, that one has 3, so you take 3 A's. Which group has the most C's? This one has 4, that one has 3, so you take 4 of them. And then your last step is to remultiply. In which case you get 2 times 5 is 10 times 3 is 30 for your number, A cubed C to the 4th. Now, do I think that you have to do this? Some of you, yes. Some of you, no. You should really be able to look at this and go, oh, if I have 10 and 15 as the bottom of my fraction, the least common multiple would be 30. Which group has the most A's? Well, that one is an A cubed, so that's the most. Which one has the most C's? That's C to the 4th. It has the most, so shabam. But again, what most people get confused on is they start getting that confused with greatest common factor. What's the difference in least common multiple, greatest common factor? When we did this as greatest common factors, you had to see what they had in common. Okay, they don't have a 2 in common. They don't have a 3 in common. They have a 5 in common. What do they have in common as far as A's go? They have 2 A's together. And what do they have as far as C's go? 3 C's. So the greatest common factor is 5A squared C cubed. That's the biggest number that you can divide both of those by. This is the biggest number that both of those will go into. And you need to make sure you keep those straight somewhere when you do that sort of thing. All right, let's do one more. How about this one? Uno mas example, and you see, again, I don't think that you have to do all that work that we just did, unless math isn't coming easy to you and you don't quite get it, then sure. 6p squared s cubed, 6p squared s cubed, 2m squared s squared, and 8m cubed p. 8m cubed p. Find the least common multiple. Take your best shot at that. Tell me what you get for an answer. You should be close to it by now. You should be close to it by now. If those were the bottom of fractions, what would you put for the common denominator? And the survey would say, Alex, you got an answer yet? Nay, nay? Mary? No, yes? Nolan? Almost. Baumgartner? Huh? Throw what you got. What you got?
24 p squared.
24 what? P squared?
E squared. M to the third.
M to the third.
S squared.
S squared.
S cubed.
S cubed. And that's it?
Yeah.
Alright. Raise your hand if you agree. Throw your folder on the book, or if you don't. I believe you are correct. Okay, and again, if you don't catch this, You know, you can do it all out, but if you should be able to say the smallest thing that 6, 2, and 8 go into is 24. Correct? This is 2 times 3, this is 2, and this is 2 times 2 times 2. This has the most 2's, that's 8. This has the most 3's, that's 3. Multiply that together, you get 24. Which group has the most p's? Well, this has p squared, that has p, so you take a p squared. Which group has the most m's? That has 3, that has 2, so you take 3. Which group has the most s's? That one has 3, 2, that one doesn't have 1, so it is in fact p squared m cubed s cubed. Those of you that didn't get it, do you understand where your difficulty might lie? Katie?
Can you mix the number of letters?
Yeah, letters can be in any order. That's fine. Can't mix up the 2 and the 4 though.